Howdy, hey, hello, it's McKenna, and this is another episode of Munch and Mingle. And today I have, right next to Britton, my number one cheerleader in my life, my mom.
Yay!
Which is so funny because the first episode I said was, it's probably just my mom who's going to be listening to this. So now you're here,
Yep.
And it's good. And we were just saying, as we were trying to go over all the notes, and it was getting difficult, we're like, how are we going to fit this? And I said, how do you have an hour to an hour and a half episode with someone who's known you your entire life through your entire life?
Yeah, that's true.
And we're trying to talk about your life as well with like the mingling.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna miss a lot of details.
We're gonna try to get the good ones.
We're gonna try.
And like we said, it will probably be a long episode,
right?
But
strap in.
Also a loud episode.
Probably.
As we tend to get together. I am my mother, so it's going to get loud, but that's good.
And there should be a lot of laughing because I love to laugh.
That's true. And that's where we get it from. Hopefully you guys will see a lot of my animation, my storytelling comes from you.
Yeah.
Like that's who I learn how to tell stories from is you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we start off, we're going to do the munchie, which is, right now it's in a jar. But it was a munchie last night.
Yes,
we just forgot to tell Mom to bring one.
It was super good.
So my Aunt Jen had this delivery stop off at my house from this, it's called Bucko Bakery, and it's here in Orem, Utah.
Yeah.
She makes her own little like chocolate cake mix in a jar. It has a little ingredients on it. So Aunt Jen gave me one, and we did a family dinner last night with Mom and all my siblings. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'll bring dessert. So I made cupcakes
and
with
they
this.
were super good.
Mom liked them. So that's
good.
All you know.
Yeah. And she put cupcakes and then she put frosting on them.
Oh, yeah. The frosting was from the I Do Cookbook, which if you guys were listening, that was my episode.
And it was so good. It was like a fondant almost.
I appreciate that.
It was really good. And then she had like super good like sprinkles on it. And it was the perfect kind of a cupcake.
Thanks,
so it was good. Everybody loved them.
Only my mom would use something that I made as her munchie.
Well, I munched on it last night. Trust me.
So yes, Bucko's Bakery, very good cake mix. And then the chocolate, it's buttercream frosting,
of
but
course.
that's okay. From the I Do Cookbook.
I know. And it was yummy.
It was good. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay.
As we're starting, Mom, thank you for... Oh, I thought someone was in the house. I was manning. Thank you for being here. You were just here visiting for the holidays, so we got you in for an episode.
Yay. I'm so excited because we've been talking about this for a while that we wanted to do this. And here we are. Yep. So it's here.
So let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
Before you were born, Grandpa Fred, Grandma Margot, your parents.
Yeah.
We can just talk a little bit about them.
Okay.
Grandpa Fred, as we said, he was a man of many careers.
He followed the same path-ish, if you will. I mean, he started in motorcycles. He was a racer. Mm-hmm. He was a professional motorcycle racer, actually. Mm-hmm. And he raced in England, of all places. And then, did you ever know that Grandpa Fred was married before my mom?
No.
Yeah, he was married to one woman, and I can't remember her name, but we always had a picture. My dad had one of those collage picture frames when we lived with him when we were like from 10 to 17, 16, I did. And anyway, but there was this, those photo collages you have in those picture frame things. And there was always this picture of this woman that was like in like a bridesmaid. I don't know where he got the picture from, but that was her. And I just remember he'd point her out. Yeah, that's her. And I swear I can't remember her name. But anyway, that's all I know. It lasted for like a year. And then they got a divorce.
And he met when he was racing?
Yeah. Okay. When he was in his 20s. In England. She was English.
Oh.
She was from England. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting, huh? And then he followed motorcycle industry and did all of that. And he did some really cool things. And I think he broke a record. He rode his motorcycle from Canada to, I want to say LA-ish area.
Wow.
And he was the fastest on the road, but he had to break laws to do it.
Oh gosh.
So it was an unofficial
fastest
record. But yeah, he did at the time. I remember that was kind of a cool thing that he did. And so anyway, then he started working for Honda as
in California.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's from Canada.
Yeah,
so
that's
he was originally from Canada. Anyway, but he started working for Honda motorcycle division, and he was in sales. And that's when he met my mom. And my mom was a professional singer at the time. And they lived in the same apartment complex. And he lived in her apartment before she did.
Oh, like in the
exact apartment. And he then must have noticed that she was there now.
Yeah.
And they were in an elevator together. And my dad's great line was, "Hey, I slept in your bed. Did you know that?"
Oh my gosh.
My mom's like, okay. What? And he's like, yeah, I don't know how they got that going, but he was a salesman, so he wasn't a bad looking guy when he was young either. He's my dad. I didn't mean to. I never saw him that way.
I get my good look through him.
I just didn't know. I mean, he was good looking when he was younger.
Yes.
He was just my dad. I just didn't think of him that way. But my mom was this like larger than life character because she sang professionally.
Well, we can give her claim to fame. I mean, there's a photo of Grandma Margot and Audrey Hepburn together. Like they knew each other.
Well, that's a whole other story.
I
could go on for a long time about my mom's stories.
mean, Grandma Margot she didn't meet Elvis, but she was.
Oh no, she did.
Oh, she got a scarf from Elvis.
No scarf.
What was it?
Okay,
I thought it was something.
She was on the set with Elvis because she was doing. I think she was an extra on the set of a movie he was doing, and he came over and was talking to her. And I mean, he was very much a ladies' man kind of guy, and he invited her to a private, like a party that he was having at his house with other people, and invited her to it. And she brought her friend, who was her roommate at the time, and I can't remember her name right this second, but it'll come to me because my mother has said these names all my life, and I remember the names of people. That's how it gets. Anyway, Diane Fortune, that was her name. Anyway, Diane Fortune went with her to his house or his apartment or whatever, and she said it was like all girls. There were no guys there. All women sitting on the floor, and he's playing his guitar and singing.
Oh my gosh.
And like everybody's like swooning. And my mom said her friend or her roommate was a little bit, she was a little loosey-goosey, that kind of gal. My mom was a lot less than that. Like she was a lot more like conservative, but Diane Fortune wasn't. And she was standing in the back of the room while Elvis is playing his guitar, and she's like doing, my mother always say, the bumps and grinds, like back in the day when they do their like go-go dancing kind of moves.
Today,
And he was looking at her the whole time. So then he had one of his like people go up to her and say, Elvis would like to go on a date with you.
Oh my gosh.
And she was like, okay. Anyway, this is the seedy part of how things go down in life, but I don't know if I should even get into that.
I don't know how much we're going to.
But basically, they went out and then went back, and things happened, and she noticed cameras, so she figured everybody's watching this right now.
Oh my god,
that's what was going on with Elvis.
Well,
but she said he was very sweet.
We
very
love
nice,
Elvis as a person.
very good, very polite. She said he was just really sweet, but
the tea back then, my goodness,
that was it.
But that was Diane.
That was Diane Fortune.
Bless her and her family. We are not saying anything against you.
No.
We were just saying my grandma was there.
That was just, she was there. She saw it happen, and we heard all the story, but she wasn't in the exact situation.
Like I said, my more thing I just remember as a kid was that photo of her
with Audrey Hepburn. Well, that was so cool. She was an extra again, I'm sorry, she wasn't an extra. She was her stand-in for the movie Wait Until Dark, where Audrey played a blind woman. And she didn't know my mom, but my mom was her stand-in in case they needed her to do any scenes, like blocking scenes without Audrey. My mom would go in there and do it. Well, she's supposed to know as a stand-in, you're supposed to know the whole script as Audrey's, because you're supposed to know.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in a play.
Yeah.
You're understudy kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the idea. But rarely did anything ever happen that they ever had to know their script. So most of the time they didn't do that. Well, anyway, come to find out, or come to the bottom line of it, Audrey broke her leg.
Oh my god!
And couldn't be at rehearsal. So the director had my mother jumping in there, and my mom hadn't memorized any of the blocking or any of those things. So she was like totally lost. And the director tore into her in front of everybody, like, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. And all this stuff. He's like, what kind of a stand-in is this? And she was humiliated and so angry. And so my mother is very determined when she gets that way. So she went home and memorized everything. And understand, when they do blocking, they don't have to act. They just have to like say the lines.
It's just so that it's a person
and
there.
you're like, da, 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 da. Yeah, so it's there. No, my mother learned it and acted out the scenes for everybody.
Yes.
And not only, and she did it. There's a scene, I guess, where Audrey's like sliding down a wall or something like that because she can't see, because it's like a thriller kind of a movie because she's blind and there's somebody in the house and trying to get to her and she can't see. It was like that kind of a movie. And my mom was doing the slide down and the crying and the screaming and doing the whole thing. She did acted everything else. And at the end of the whole thing, the director stood her up in front of the entire cast, not that day, but like throughout the whole time that they had to do it, said, she is the best stand-in in the business, this one. He raved about her. And then Audrey Hepburn was so moved by her stepping in and doing all that, or hearing all that she took her to the, at the time, Elizabeth Arden salon in Hollywood, and got her hair cut just like hers. Yeah. And did her makeup just like hers. Yes. She bought her a beautiful bracelet for her and took her to lunch, and they took that picture
That's
together.
what I was going to say. They look exactly alike, which I like to say whenever I think I loved looking at that, because you look like your mom and I always say I look like you, so I'm like, oh, I just fall in suit.
I always thought my mom was the most beautiful woman I ever saw in my mind as a child. You know, when I was young, I was like, and even then I'd always say, people would compliment me or something, and I'd say, if you should have seen my mother in the day, my mother was something. Like, she was just gorgeous. And
there's so many stories, because with Grandma Margot, that it's just, like I said, it just goes down the line, and that's why I love talking about her. So Grandma Margot passed away was it 2020 or 2020? No, it's 2021.
2021, I think. Oh, gosh, it's sad that I can't remember that.
It happens. Yeah, it was fast.
It was December. I know it was
so
December.
So it was 2020 then.
Yeah.
It was right at the
2020.
End.
Yeah.
And that was hard, and I don't want to go too into it because it's still fresh.
It's okay.
But okay.
And I might cry, so just know.
That's why I'm like, I don't know how to go into it. It's okay. But I love Grandma Margot. There's so many fun memories with her.
Well, but let's be fair. Grandma Margot wasn't the traditional grandma. You had a much more involved grandmother on your father's side than my mom was. And I think the thing about my mom is that she just kind of like took kind of like a dive down in her life after her career went away and her kids grew up. And that, because we were her everything. Yeah. And specifically me, we had it was my brother and myself, and I'm the youngest, my brother's the oldest, but we're only 15 months apart. But my mom and I clicked, and not just that, but our personalities are very aligned similarly. And I was very codependent with her. We were extremely codependent of each other. And so when I got a little older, I started to become more independent, and I wanted to branch off and be my own person. But I still felt that codependency where I needed to take care of her, make sure she was okay, which was a lot of pressure on me. That was a big pressure on me throughout my life. But I didn't think about it until I got older. And so, she wasn't as involved as she should have been. And I wish she would have been, but she didn't know how to be that way. But when she was involved, she was animated and fun 100%. And you'd love to be around her. Kids loved to be around her.
Because of that. She knew she worked a crowd. But because she watched us. Sorry, I know we're kind of jumping back and forth, but she watched us when we lived in Woods Cross. She
for
would
a
come
short
watch us,
time. Little time.
And then it was kind of sporadic. But then during high school, I would go clean her house twice a week. I asked
you because McKenna didn't want to have a traditional job.
It was a hard life of high school, okay?
So we were trying to come up with lots of different ideas to make her earn her keep, if you will. So I was like, Grandma Margot needs somebody to clean her house. So you can go there, and she needs to feel like she's connected.
Yeah. So I would clean house and talk to Grandma Margot twice a week.
And how was that?
I loved it. See, that is the one thing I'm grateful for, because with Kayla and Ginger and everyone else, they didn't really get to have that as it got closer. But I had that. And
Yes,
so
you
I
did.
became, I felt like I was close to her, but I especially got close to her during those two times a week.
The one thing though that I'm sure she's listening right now, my mom, I am sure the one thing that I think that I couldn't stand when she did this, and she probably wouldn't do it now if she could do it again, but she picked favorites and it drove me crazy. I'm like, you don't do that. You don't tell. She was vocal about it too. Like my mom's niece, her oldest niece, Monica, was her favorite niece. And she let all the other nieces know because Monica came through for her, was always there for her. And I'm like, Mom, that's not how you motivate people. Why don't you be more like them? Why don't you be more like this? If you want to be my favorite. And I'm like, she didn't say it like that exactly, but she was, I hated that side of her in that way. So it used to be Ginger was like the baby, and she was her favorite. When we lived in the Woods Cross home, that's who my mom was connecting a lot with. And she used to love how you would connect with Ginger, make her laugh, and would make my mother laugh. Well, anyway, and then when we got to that point where you started going over to her house, you became the favorite.
Okay. And I'm like, it's a hard title to bear, okay? Because all the siblings that are like, thanks, McKenna.
Yeah, right.
Grandma loves you. And I'm like, it's not like I chose it.
But McKenna,
I have a job. I'm getting paid to be here.
You're the approval addict and you love the title. So that's
true. That is where I also followed suit. Is like you said, like I became I needed everyone's approval, which I'm reading a book right now that explains why women need that. But that's very much what it was, is it was someone who's important in your life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get the approval from you. Not that it's like you ever made it that way.
No, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to have that time with her because I knew that it would be meaningful to her.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was always complaining about her grandkids never seeing her. And I was like, oh, well, we're going to make that happen.
Yeah, that's why I think it like started out like whatever, but it actually became...
Yeah.
It was really great.
Right.
So,
but anyway, I digress.
Yes, we're digressing back.
So go back.
Grandpa Fred, Grandma Margot met. They had Uncle Raymond and then you. Well,
not met. When they got married, they ended up, but they were only 3 months dating and then they got married.
Okay.
It was quick.
Yes.
And because my dad saw her singing and she was larger than life, and then he was all like, he felt the need to really work quickly to catch this fish in the sea, basically, because he could see she was beautiful and she was a singer and it was bigger than he'd ever been with, and I think that he just, he wanted to get that taken care of. And then, of course, right after they got married, I'm just giving you a little insight here. My mother used to always tell the story that he would just not talk to her hardly at all. Like he was so wooing her in the early stages. Yeah. And then they got married, and then he just literally was quiet and like not talking and everything. And she would say, "What happened? Where are you? Why did this happen?" And he's all, "Well, when we got married, I sealed the deal." So,
oh my gosh,
basically, it's good now. I've got you. I got you. Now it's over. I'm not having to try anymore, which is sad.
Yeah,
but that's the way it was. And so they lasted 7 years.
Wow.
Which is amazing in and of itself, in my opinion. But
and I want to talk about, so when they got divorced, kind of what happened there, because that's when a lot shifted for you.
Yeah, for sure. So before that happened, my mom was a stay-at-home mom at that time. She wasn't singing anymore. She stopped that all when she had a family, because she always wanted a family so much. She wanted her children. And she was older. She was 30 when she had me, and Raymond 29. And so she was very dedicated to being a mom, and we loved it. Like, I had the best formative years of my life.
Yeah.
I have said that. The formative years of my life laid the groundwork for anything rough coming ahead. Thank goodness. Because she was a great mom. She sang to us every night. She brought the friends in to play. I mean, like,
she was very involved.
She did the beauty contest.
I was going to say the beauty contest.
She had a beauty contest
that we've heard of.
in the complex that we lived in. We lived in a condominium complex, and she had this like teenage girl that loved her, loved my mom, thought she was the coolest ever. And anyway, my mom thought she'd do something fun, and we did like a beauty contest for all these girls in the complex. And I was 4 or 5. I was right around that age, like 4 or 5. And actually, this might have been after the divorce. I'm not sure because there was a weird year there that I don't know. But anyway, at this time, we came down, everybody's going down the staircase, I remember. And when it was my turn to go down the staircase, I was just smiling and really on and really doing that. And then when we had to speak, and guess who the judges were? My mother and her friend, the little girl.
The teenager.
Yes. And then at the end, she goes, well, Heather's the winner. Gosh. And I'm like, Mom, they're not going to like me. And she's like, I'm sorry, you were the best. You were the best. I had to give it to who was the best. It was you. I go, but nobody's going to like me. It doesn't matter. You were the best, so you won it. And I'm like, okay. So, that was like my mom, but she was like big. There was this kid that wrote, we had one of these cardboard, like toy house, like playhouses in our garage that they made. It was like out of cardboard, but it was like a kit that you could buy. And it was made, it looked like a little candy house, if you will. Well, the kids in the neighborhood would come and play, and someone wrote the F word in there. And my mom freaked out because she saw, who was it? Who was it? Because there was a lot of kids that come through, and she was very protective of us, not seeing things, not hearing things, very protective of us. And she then decided, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So she invited all the kids that had been playing over to do a cute little writing contest. Cute little writing activity. And she's like, I need you to do, everybody's going to put a K now. Oh my gosh. Just random letters. And then she took all of them and she matched them up to the writing in there and found the person, went to the house of them and talked to their mother and said, he wrote the F word in my children's playhouse.
Mom, you're telling me these things and I'm like, I think I have a little bit of Grandma Markle in me. Because I'm like, yep, I could see myself doing that.
And she's being all like stealthy. She's getting to
talk to your mother.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, she was just like that. She would, like I said, we had this one of those, if you've been to Universal Studios, you could buy those like
the action.
Cut, action. Yeah. Those little like boards that have the thing that goes
black
down.
And white.
Yeah, the black and white board. We had one of those. And because my mom was an actress and all that stuff, she'd have kids over and we would play and she would do like acting. We would pretend to do commercials for her. She just was fun.
She was very
people like we were the house to be at because my mom was involved and she was fun and like she made it interesting and exciting and all of that. So anyway, so that was like my first 5 years of my life was this. And so those were the formative years. And I knew I was loved. I mean, my mother loved us. My dad was working a lot. I didn't have him around nearly as much. But when they did get back to the point when they were going through this, I heard my mom's stories will live on through me because I know so much about my mom's feelings. And she used to always say, how did you know that? I go, you told me. And she goes, how did you remember? Because I just did, because it was big to me, like all of her stories. So when their marriage was having a problem, she was trying to get my dad's attention. She really did not want to get a divorce at that time. She just wanted him to take notice. They had gone to counseling. The counselor even said, you're going to lose her if you don't do something because you're not talking to her. You're not trying and any of that. Well, anyway, so her version of it was that she just got the divorce papers written up without even talking to him, which I was like, oh, that's harsh. And she served it, or had him sitting on the table in the living room when he got home one night. And she wanted him to say, no, let's work this out. She wanted him to fight for it, but he didn't. He just went, okay, this is what you want. And from my understanding now, I think it's because he just figured if she went to the trouble to go that far, then she really wants out. And I think that's where he was at. But I know there's regret there, and as there usually is a lot of the time with divorce. I mean, not that we regret that we did it, but just wish things had been different in different aspects of it, or wished you could have worked it out for sure if there was a way. You hoped, for the kids' sake especially. But anyway, so he didn't fight her on that. But I remember the day they sat us down. I think I was 4. That's why I said they were still married. Like they separated.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them being separated, and then he moved out, and for a year we were living there without him, and he was paying her alimony and child support, so she didn't have to work. But when he only got alimony for a year for her, and so basically at that point she had to go back to work, and that's when everything changed in my life. But when the day they told us they were getting a divorce, I remember Shirley Temple was on. This is an old school actress, but there were movies. There was movies on. Shirley Temple movies were on. And I remember that happening when they told us. And I remember saying, where's Dad going to go? You know, where is he? Or I was like, I don't want him to go. And it was sad at the time. And of course it was. But one thing though, it's going to change life for every kid. But I was very close to my mom. And she was with us the majority of the time. So it made sense that we're going to stay with my mom, of course. But when she had to go back to work, her dream died because she wanted to be a mom. She just wanted to be an at-home mom, and things changed. And so when she went back to work, we moved into an apartment. And this is the beginning of all the moves that I did. I had a lot of different moves. We went from... we moved in with her in an apartment. I always call it like you have names for places like you were saying, the
Green
base house,
apartment, White House.
I have yeah. That was Limelight Circle.
Oh, okay.
It's Huntington Beach. This is where we lived in Huntington Beach, California, on Limelight Circle. And me and Raymond were latchkey kids at 7 and 8 years old. We came home and we about killed each other every day. And she would get calls because we were fighting. And I remember Raymond tried to pull a knife out, or I tried to, I don't even know, but nobody was going to do anything about it.
They have great relationships now.
But it was just like, oh my gosh, it was chaotic, you know? And that was hard. And then she started drinking more. That's when things were just not fun. And she was started dating a guy, Al, I remember. And I didn't like any man she dated. I hated all of them. I put up with them. I didn't like them at all. I wanted my dad still to be her person.
Yes.
So I was just very protective of my mom, codependent. Okay. So anyway, what else do you want me to talk about there?
No,
I can keep going.
That's pretty good, because I wanted to then move in, because like we said, we could stick so much on this, but I wanted to make a point, like you went through a lot, and Grandma Margot did go through some more severe things.
I can continue into that now, because that's an important part of my story, I think. But so when we were living with my mom around that time, it wasn't then. It was probably, I was around 9, I think, when this all started to happen. But again, she was drinking a lot, and she was dating different guys here and there, not a lot. But I mean, there was some traumatic moments. Like I remember we were at our babysitter's house, and this was when we had a babysitter. She did have us go to a babysitter for a while there at times. Probably because we were trying to kill each other with knives and things like that. I don't know.
Need some intervention here.
But anyway, she, I remember we were at the babysitter's house, and this guy that we had never met came to pick us up because it was late. And my mom had met him at a bar, and she had drank too much, and he brought her home, and she told him, I need my kids. I need to pick my kids up. So he came to get us and pick us up. That was traumatic. Brought us home. Nothing happened with them, but that was scary. That was hard, and it was traumatic. I remember just feeling like, what is happening? And my mom coming home knowing my mom was drunk. Oh, that was horrible. So that was the first part. And then, but my mom's problem was with men. And when she felt rejected or hurt by men, especially, men were always the catalyst. She would possibly try to hurt herself, to get attention. And I think not at the time she didn't think about it, but she was drinking. So she obviously she wasn't in a clear state of mind when she was doing what she was doing. But the first time I remember my mom, it was Christmas Day. We were going to see my dad because we always spent Christmas Eve with my mom because German Christmas was a big deal in our house. Which is so funny
because that has carried on.
Yeah. And then my dad got Christmas Day. And so we loved it. We got 2 Christmases all the time.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So we went with my dad, and my mom was dating this guy named Jerry at the time, who was younger than her, I remember. And anyway, we came back that day, the end of the day, and she didn't answer the door. He was knocking, and he had a key, I think, for emergency purposes. He opened the door. We went in, and my mom was unconscious on the couch. And I remember going up to her, and I was just like, Mom, you know, and my dad was trying to get her to wake. She wouldn't wake up. He was slapping her in the face, and she was trying to kind of hit him back. She didn't know what was going on. She was out. She was. And then I went in the bathroom, and there were pills all over the sink, and there was a note that she had written about, I think it was to me and Raymond, but I don't know. It was weird. And she had taken tranquilizers, and she had been drinking all day. And so we had to get her to the hospital. So the ambulance came, and my dad was dating this other woman. And so we stayed with her for like 2 weeks while my mom was in the hospital.
Wow.
And then we went back to my mom. And then eventually, then the next time something happened, and this isn't my mom's first suicide attempt. She tried it when she was 18. She slit her wrists. She's just done a lot of different things like this, unfortunately. And so then when I was probably about 9 at that point, it was really all in the same time frame. I mean, within a few years. And at that point, she was dating Dave, and I dealt with him, but I didn't mind him as bad, but yeah. And they got into it, and I remember going to bed and then waking up hearing a loud noise out my window, because my window was right above the carport area. And I looked out, and it was a big, huge fire truck underneath us. And I came out of my room, and Dave was standing there. He's like, Heather, it's okay. It's okay. And then I see them wheeling my mom down the staircase in a gurney. And she's out of it because they got into a fight. She'd gone in the bathroom. She took pills with the door locked, and she'd been drinking. And then he called the ambulance, and they came, and then that was that. And then they pump her stomach, and she'd get out. And then the last time was when Kayla was a baby, and she called me. This wasn't over a man this time, although it was more like just depressed, miserable. And she called me, and I had Kayla, and she was like, I've taken pills. I'm going to die. And I don't want you to call the police. I just want to talk to you. And I was like, how do I do this? And I've been through this before. So I was like, but now I'm an adult and I have my own child. And I was really angry with her. Like, how could you just put me through this? How could you put us, like, I was so mad at her. Like, how could you just be so selfish about this? And I look back at it now, and I realize that she probably was, I know she was lonely, and I know she was miserable. She didn't have anything else in her life.
Yeah.
And anyway, I made your dad talk to her on the phone. This before cell phones. And it was like midnight, and I go running to the next door neighbors, and I'm banging on the door. Can I use your phone? Nobody's answering the door. Finally, I get down to the end. Somebody answers. And I said, please, it's an emergency. Will you please let me, use your phone? And she said, absolutely, no problem. So I'm calling the ambulance while your dad's stalling. She doesn't know that I'm calling the ambulance now.
Wow.
And I get back, and then I get on the phone with her, and I'm talking to her. She still doesn't know. And then all of a sudden I hear the knocking at the door, and she goes, Heather, what have you done? And I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to let this happen. And there was a part of me, though, honestly, Kenna, before I did that I was like, do I just want to let this happen? Because I was so tired of it all. But then I couldn't even possibly consider that thought for very long. It was like, no, you've got to do something. I love my mother, but I was angry, and I was tired of all of this. And I wished she would just be normal, like emotionally stable, and I didn't have to be the one taking care of her my entire life, it felt like. Because my mom, well, I take that back. I mean, we've had lots of experiences. The time when my mom took me in the car, and she was drunk to go confront Dave at his house, and she didn't know what she was doing. And I made her take me. That's how stupid I was, and she just let me because she was drunk. She didn't know. And because I thought I could take care of her. And then I'd go home and lay next to her in bed and watch her sleep, because I was afraid she was going to die in her sleep. I would just watch her chest go up and down. That's the life I had.
I know. And that's why I want to talk about it, because You didn't go through a life that most people did, because like you said, the beginning of your life, it was so contrasted, stark, different.
Definitely.
And then it got shifted. And I know, just as I've said in past episodes, when you're having to grow up earlier, and I'm not saying you're perfect, you've had to go through your own issues too, but I'm grateful that, we can still look back. Those were hard years, but there were so many good things. And that's what I hope whenever I get someone on the show to talk about, is that you hear everyone has a story. And it means everything's something different.
It helps to understand the tapestry of a person when you understand where they've come from and what they've gone through. And it's easy for us to look at people and one-dimensionally judge them. Mm-hmm. And it's so unfair.
Yeah.
Because none of us are one-dimensional. And we can't see what they went through. Or this is why I'm big about looking at things from other people's perspectives. It's such an important habit to get into. It's a habit. It's something that you have to acquire. You have to try at it. It's so hard because we all see it from our perspective. We're all right. We're all right in our minds. We did it right. I mean, we can get hard on ourselves, but most of the time we're going to say that person was just a jerk.
Yeah.
Or that person was this. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm the victim here, that kind of thing. And I don't want to live my life like a victim. And I did for many years, in the sense that with my mom, that story was my victim story. Yeah. Like, this was my life. This was the way I grew up. And I got a lot of sympathy mileage out of that one. And I have come to be very honest with myself about that, because we all have our victim story, whatever we hold on to get that sympathy from people.
Yeah.
And I used, there were like several stories in my life that I used as my victim story that I was attached to. My mother's issues with suicide and the drinking and all of that. And then all of that I went through with that, my mom and my, that stuff. Another one was truly when I was married to my current husband, like we went through stuff, and the first time around, like, cause we were divorced and got remarried.
Yeah.
That was my other second victim story, because I felt like I was victimized. Yeah. I kind of was, in a sense, but I was also complicit to being there. Like, it was all my choice. And I know that.
And you've been really good. My whole life, you've always taught us, me and my siblings, your kids, there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah. Don't jump too quick and think you're right and they're all wrong. And the reason I think I do that, and here's the hardest part with that, McKenna, because you skirt a really fine line when you're talking to your children or anybody about that, because they feel like you don't care about them. They feel like you're saying, well, your feelings aren't as important as considering the other person's feelings. And that is not at all what I was saying, what I was ever going for. But I know that was a misunderstanding for a lot of years at different times, with different people. And that's just, I think, maturity when you start to grow, and my ability to be better at explaining what I mean by it. Like, looking at somebody else's perspective isn't about helping them feel better. It's about helping you feel better, because then you understand, well, if you have compassion for somebody, if you get that they've walked a different path, or, well, this is why they're that way, you start to soften and you feel more compelled to just see them as a real human being instead of a jerk or like a manipulator or whatever label you want to throw at somebody who's really hard on you in your life. They're the people that are going to teach you the most. You need to take time to see things from a different perspective for your own growth and just journey.
Well, it's so funny because as time has gone on, it used to be we'd call you, be like, Mom, I need to vent. Yeah. And now it's, if I call you to vent, it's, okay, can you just help me figure out why they're doing this? Like, it's so changed. It's not, well, let me tell you my side. And while that still is
you guys will still do that.
Yes, but now it's like, can you help me let go of this? So, sorry, we've gone totally off, which is great. I mean, that was a big part.
Sometimes we got to take things organically where they go.
Yes. And so now there are so many things that we are going to cover.
I know. Bring me back.
Here we go.
Bring me back.
So as you started to get more independent, you kind of talked about, so you met Dad.
Yeah.
In California.
Oh, we need to back up
Yeah.
because we didn't talk about the church at
Yes.
all. And that's a big part of the
Yes.
story. Oh my gosh. How much time are we in this already?
We're at 40 minutes.
Okay.
So we've got a lot to still cover.
Dear. Okay. So I was not raised with a religion except for the Catholic religion in my
Yes.
life. My mom was Catholic, so my dad didn't care about religion. He was agnostic. But my mom wanted to take us to a religion. So when my dad and mom got a divorce, that's when she started taking us to the Catholic Church. And I got baptized, not as a baby in the Catholic Church, but literally like an 8-year-old kid, which is ironic because in the church,
Yeah.
8 years old is the baptism, but I had like the water tinkled over my head at 8 in the Catholic Church. And then I had my first communion there. I had the little dress. I looked like the little bride with the little bride's veil. I thought it was so pretty. And I can still recite a couple prayers in Catholic because I know it. Like it was drummed into your head when you're going through catechism and all those things. Anyway, the point is I went through all that. But I didn't really have a connection to spirituality at that time. It was just like rote routine, kind of a feeling. And then, you know, I mean, we went on holidays then. It wasn't even a big deal.
Yeah.
So fast forward, eventually my mom and dad decided that Raymond and me should go live with my dad because she was struggling so bad with her drinking and she knew she was not stable. And I got to give her so much credit for that because that was a hard thing for her, especially since she was so connected to her children. Like we were everything to her, but she knew she was hurting us. And so she wanted my dad to be more stable. And that's where I go. My dad really shined because he took us on. And we were 10 and 11 when we moved in with my dad. So at the end of the day, it was super hard to move with my dad, but we did. And at that time, a few years passed. I'm in high school now, and I am in drama class, and the girl that sits in front of me, actually behind me, alphabetical order.
Yes.
Her last name is Clark. My last name was Chase. And so she was right behind me. And so we became friends, really good friends. And she was Mormon. Now, here's what's ironic. My aunt, Anita, had joined the Mormon church or joined the LDS church when back, I always knew. We always had a Book of Mormon in our house when I was little. Like there was always a Book of Mormon in the bookcase.
Yeah.
And I just saw it there. I didn't know what it was or whatever. But I knew that Aunt Anita was Mormon. That's what I remember. She lived in Utah and the whole thing. She had the kids. Yeah. So, but that's all I knew. I didn't know anything until I met Kim, my friend. And then she started bringing me the activities. Now, mind you, I was not the kid. I was like the kid that could have been Mormon before she was Mormon. Like I didn't cuss because I hated the way it sounded coming out of my mouth. I was just not that person. I didn't drink because of the stuff I'd gone through a lot in my childhood. It wasn't my thing. Plus, I was very fear-based in my learning experience growing up, like meaning my mother scared me all the time. Like she would always be like, if you do this, that's why she told me all the stories she told me because she was like, this is what happens when you go down the path. And I appreciate that because it was vivid in my mind. Like, oh, I don't want to do this because this will lead to that. And I'm going to do this. Drugs scared the crud out of me. Like I didn't want to get near drugs. Like freaked me out. Like no way. But
I don't know why I'm laughing, but yeah,
it was
just because I can imagine Grandma Marco.
This is me on no LDS terms. This is just Heather rising up this way. This was where she was at. That was where I was at. And so my biggest flaw was I was boy crazy. Like you, McKenna. That was the thing. It scared me to death when you were a little girl because she was like always like having a crush on boys and loving boys. And I was like, McKenna, be careful. Oh my gosh, just be careful. Anyway, but
my gosh, it's a shame.
But anyway, no, you were good.
Fine.
You were a good kid.
Wait, thank you.
So this was me, and so when I met Kim, it was like all the like planets aligned in the same place, and she started taking my very first activity was a youth conference away. Like they did youth conferences in the mountains.
Yeah.
They'd go away to like a cabin-y thing kind of.
Right.
That was my very first activity in the church was going to youth conference with Kim. It was so much fun. And then I remember Sunday, the testimony meeting. And now you understand this is like this is stake. So we've got kids from different high schools here that I have never seen before, you know? And I remember these good looking guys that were like football player guys and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, they are so cute. And they get up at testimony meeting and they're bearing their testimony, and I am moved. I'm like, you're popular, good looking, and you love the Lord. This is new to me. I am really digging this, digging it. Like, and they didn't cuss. They were right in the same, like,
I'm there.
I'm on the same plane with them. Like, everything was good fun, like good, clean fun. All the games were fun. The dances were fun. And I was like, this is my people. I found my people. And so I left there. Oh, I forgot. And I bore my testimony that day for the first time. Didn't know what I was doing. It was just like thinking, hey, I need to get up there. I feel like this is an important thing to do. And I was like, I'm embarrassed. I don't even remember what I said, but I did say it. And then the first time I went to church, they were passing like the sacrament around, and the cups and the holes and that. Well, like, bring it over to me, and I drink. I took the sacrament. I didn't know any different. Nobody told me not to. So I was like, okay. So I drank the drink and I put it back in the hole. And the kid that was doing it knew me from school, and he like looks at me and he laughs. And I was like, oh, and Kim's like, put it in the middle. And so I picked it up and I put it in the middle thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. But yeah, so I started going to church. And I loved it. I just loved every bit of it. Obviously the activities were my favorite thing, but what I did start to identify was my relationship, my spirituality, and that became such an important part for me in my life. And so I then remember joining the church on Valentine's Day, 1987.
Wow.
And my mom was not thrilled about it because she thought I was leaving the Catholic religion, her teachings. My dad was concerned only to the point of, I just know that they require a lot of your time. Are you prepared to do that? I mean, like, Heather, a lot of your time. I'm like, I already know that. I've been around this. I'm 15 at this time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like the things I'm doing. I don't have any problem with that. And he was like, fine, then I support you. If you want to do that, go. He was at the baptism. So was my brother. My mother didn't go. I was really hurt by that, but she didn't. And things changed over time.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Wow.
So I joined the church, and then I got into trouble with boys, and things were hard. But I was very honest with myself. I always was like, I went to the bishop straight out. If I had a problem, I was very honest. I never, because to me, the church wasn't, there can't be two parts of my personality in the church. This is all in. You're all in if you're there. And that's the way I perceived it. Like, you're all in if you're doing this. You can't live partially, like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and not tell people and still mess around on the back end, No, not for me.
Yeah.
I was all in. But then I found out there were people like that, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it. I was like, how can you live like that? Because to me, it was such a contrast. How could you pretend that way? Because I'm all about being authentic. I'm very real, if nothing else.
You've
to a fault
brought down to your children. No, but I was going to say, I think it's a great thing. Like, it's something that your children carry now. Like, it's something we pick up immediately from someone like, wow, you're being fake. Wow, you're not being real.
That's a big
And
deal
that's a big thing for all of us. It's like, you're real.
Right.
You got to be real.
Right. Because it's so, you feel authenticity from people when you're getting it.
Yeah.
And when you're not, you feel it too. And that's where I say dogs are so much like teaching us about being humans, because dogs feel each other's energies.
Yeah.
That's how they communicate.
This Doberman over here is trying to pretend that he's this big old guy.
Or we have like a little tiny dog that can control the Doberman or whatever, like Teeny, our dog.
Yeah, Mom is a dog person.
Saying, I love dogs. But I love cats too, but I love dogs. But anyway, the point is that I think that dogs exist to show us, not only to show us unconditional love, to teach us unconditional love, but also to show us a mirror into ourselves, to see, because dogs are reacting off of our energy. Yeah. So if they're nervous, we have to think, what am I part of that? I need to pay attention to my energy level right now, because like with therapy dogs, they'll come and lay on you, if you're upset.
They ground
and
you.
you know that. So it's like, what about the dogs that aren't therapy dogs? They're still reacting to your energy because that's what they communicate with.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that way. But energy with let's backtrack to the original point, which is people know when people are being real or fake. And so if you pretend and you think that you're getting away with it, you're not.
You're not.
You're not. It's going to come through easily. And people may not even know how to pinpoint it either. That's where it's like, they were really nice, but there was something there. I felt like they were trying to catch me in a lie, or like trying to that's where I have issues, PTSD issues with certain people in my life that I've lived through. I'm very aware when it seems like somebody's trying to gather information from me to use it against me. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that in the earlier days. I was very naive. I used to just think people, I think I could tell everybody everything about what happened to me today or what I did wrong today, what I screwed up today, and they'll love me and they will still accept me and love me. But no, they weren't my family. They were not my blood family. And they didn't look at me like that. They judged me, and it was hard on me, extremely hard on me, because I learned a lesson that not everybody's out for my best interest.
Well, I just did an episode about this, the thoughts in my head, and we talked about it. It's like when you do put yourself out there and then you realize exactly what you're just saying. Mm-hmm. But, and I'm grateful you've taught me a lot of it since. I mean, I'm still going through it.
But that's where I feel like it does help us to understand, look, if you don't feel like you don't have to please somebody else to make them comfortable if you're not feeling the authenticity. Yeah. You can be, but I'm all about, don't be rude, be nice, be loving, be kind, but don't give them information to hang your own rope. There is no reason why you need to aid them in making you feel inferior. Yeah. There is no reason you need to do that, because life is too long and too many good things about it to involve people that aren't being real with you, and they need to be real with themselves. Yeah. Unfortunately, because they're obviously not real with themselves. But again, that comes from their childhood, and wherever they came from, and their journey, and that's where perspective has everything. So anyway, but
what a better segue than now to talk about your marriage to Dad. So, and it's obviously like, it's not something we're going to stick on too long. You and I talked about it before. Obviously, it's still.
Look, I have I will always probably love your dad from my heart perspective of the fact that not in love with him. There's a difference there, obviously, but I shared a huge part of my life with your dad. We had 3 daughters together. We were married for almost 14 years, 13 years. And, we went through a lot together, and it wasn't my finest time. I can definitely tell you.
I mean, you got married. How old were you?
I had just turned 20 when I got married, but in the church, that's like, I felt like an old maid. I did. I remember used to say, I feel like such an old maid. I'm 20, almost 20, and I'm not even married. And I mean, that's sad because it's like, oh my gosh, that was sad. But I met your dad, and things moved fast, and I felt connected to him, and I felt really comfortable with him. And probably because I believe that we are all searching out characteristics from our mother, father figure type thing, girls with father figure stuff. They like, you're drawn to people that have similarities to your parents, but then you're working out your issues with your parents also there. So that was and you're drawing to you the people that are matching your self-esteem at the time. So all those things are coming together all at once. And it's like, we've got to figure this out or we're going to go down. But anyway, your dad, I always just thought he has a good heart and he tries to do good. I know that about him, and he will bend over backwards for people, and he will do all kinds of things that way. But when it came to me and him, I put him in a position to be more of a father figure to me, because I was still working that out with my own dad, needing to feel loved by that, not wanting to make the decisions. So I would lean on him to be more in charge. And then it became backwards, and it became bad because it became, I'm one of his children now. And he looked at me that way. And it was like that, you're a second class citizen now. And I just felt like I can't be in a marriage with somebody for the rest of my life and then some, to a person that doesn't truly love me. Like, I didn't feel like there was a lot of love and acceptance. It was just not that. And ultimately I made some really poor decisions along the way in our marriage. He made bad decisions too. His may not have been as glaringly bad as mine, but I made bad decisions. Why? Because I was looking for love in all the wrong places kinds of things. And I feel horrible about those decisions that I made. I've been very honest with my kids about those things. So there's nothing there that I hide, because I feel like there's a lesson there for everybody to hear, wherever you're at in your life, that is not the way to work problems out. You don't do that. you don't do things like that. But in my mind, I was young, I was stupid, I was needy, and I had a big old hole in my gut of needing love and attention. And I just felt like so not that. It was a bad thing. Anyway, the bottom line of this is that we struggled and we fought a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of talking about, and I've asked Ginger, I'm pretty sure Kayla feels the same way. Like when you guys, because you separated for a while before you got a divorce.
We separated a few times.
Yeah. And when you guys actually said you were going to get a divorce, we all kind of were like, okay.
Not like a shocker.
It kind of, but it also was like, okay, we won't have as many fighting.
Ginger struggled, I think.
Ginger was very young, for sure. But me and Kayla were like, okay. Yeah. And it wasn't, and I talked about that in the episode. It was when, marriages happen and whatnot, and we can go into that. But it really was like, okay. Sorry. And speaking of therapy, dog, Manning is coming to you right now.
I'm okay.
He's like, I feel like you need to be here. Speaking of love. Anyway, okay, well, so you guys end up getting a divorce after 13 years. It was in July.
Yeah, somewhere.
We were in Vegas. We went and stayed in Vegas for the summer while that worked out. And then you met Scott.
Yeah. And Scott and I met on a dating website. Yes. Now let's talk about that for 2 seconds.
Now it's actually very acceptable.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's my story. It's what happened. But I find it interesting how it happened because I was dating online. And when you're a girl dating online, if you're at all attractive in any way, not to toot my own horn, but I have a few things going for me there. But anyway.
I get my humility from my mother.
Look, I'm just saying. They all come out of the woodwork to attack. Like there's everybody's messaging or sending you
back
things.
Then it was definitely
and I felt like I was dating on steroids. I used to say that. I had to even keep notes because I couldn't remember who was I talking to because there were so many different people. But it was the first time I had ever really had that much attention kind of a feeling. And it was cool for a while, and then it became really stupid, and I hated it. It became to the point where I was like, I am so sick of going on dates with these guys that are just, ugh. So, and I'm old school where I wasn't from the school where you reach out to a guy first. You wait for that.
Him to reach out first.
You don't make the first move. That was from my world. So, but by the time that I had dated all these guys and I was so sick of it, I finally got to the point where I said, you know what? I was just mad. I'm like, I'm going through these profiles and I'm going to pick 5 guys that I like. 5 was my number. And I'm like, I'm going to read because it wasn't for me, at least. I think a lot of times for girls in general, but for me, it's not all about looks only, but men are so visual. It's all about looks, For me, I wanted somebody with some depth. Yeah. I wanted them to be somebody who was introspective, looking at their life, trying to figure things out because that's the way I feel. And not like, oh, I've already arrived and I know who I am. I wanted somebody who was working on themselves just like I was and trying to figure it out. And so I read the profiles. I looked at pictures, picked 5 guys, went on a date with one who was nice and everything, but nothing happened after that. He never contacted me again. And I was like, fine, that's not a love connection for him, whatever. Went on another date. And then I picked Scott, was one of my profiles. One of the people I picked. Now, he wasn't the best, in my mind, it wasn't like, oh, he's so good looking or anything. But his profile spoke to me so much. He was attractive, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't it wasn't that first. It was the profile that got me. His profile was so well written. And you have to understand, because based on what I was reading these guys write, I was like, you stand apart from the rest because there was low quality in those profiles. I love to climb mountains. And we're all so active in the singles world. I'm like, is everybody this active? Really? Because I'm not mountain climbing. I haven't been. And I feel like I'm the last one that has. Anyway.
It's so funny because that's now in our generation, I'm just thinking of the amount of Tinder and mutual profiles that
everybody's
love to go.
Who
needs my adventure buddy?
We love biking in the mountains. We love scuba. We're scuba divers, and we're all out there. We're around the globe, 360. Anyway.
So Scott's
Anyway,
wasn't just
Scott
that.
wasn't at all like that. Thank goodness.
Which is funny because he's very outdoorsy.
No, he was, but it wasn't about that.
No.
It was about his
Him.
journey.
Yeah.
He was all about like, I'm trying to get into Zen right now, trying
Yes.
to figure things out. And
Yeah.
see, at that time, I had pulled away from the church because I'd been through some things and had a lot of conflicting issues. And that was hard for me because everything in my life was the church. And I devoted myself to the church. And, but it happened and I started to pull away. And I think it had to do with my own autonomy and feeling like I didn't want to feel like I was just doing what everybody was expecting me to do. I needed to be me finally. And I'd never really been an adult outside of the church in my mind. And I just felt this need to find some freedom or autonomy to just make my own decisions and figure things out on my own.
And even though you pulled away though, Mom, you've always maintained a relationship with God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. My spirituality is still the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
Like that to me, the relationship with the Lord, the feeling I have, that is all the church. And I am so grateful for the church. I have such good feelings. Now, Scott, who we're talking about right now, was raised in Kaysville around
Utah.
members, Utah, all around him. His family wasn't really LDS at all. And he saw the hypocrisy that took place in the church where people were dual faced. You know, they would do one thing because he saw them partying and doing all these things. And then they would go to church on Sunday. His like Sunday school teacher would get on him and tell him, you know, you should be a better kid. And then they'd catch him like getting drunk behind his like barn.
Yeah.
That's the hypocrisy that was happening there. And I had a whole different experience because I was in the church in my infancy in California. And I truly believe it's so different when you're in
out of state.
a
Out of
total
Utah.
different state,
Yeah.
specifically outside of Utah or Nevada, because I feel like Nevada and Utah are really closely, but they're a little different. But California, I felt like if you're going to be in the church, you gotta know who you are, and you gotta stand for it because you're going to be challenged. You got to know who you are and what you stand for, and you got to know. And so it was just ingrained in me. This is like, you can't play 1 foot in, 1 foot out in the church there. It just doesn't work that way. And so for me, it was like, great. I was always all in. It was never a problem. I always felt I was very devoted.
And that's
so,
what it like built. It helped build your spirituality.
it totally built my spirituality. And that's why I always wanted my kids to follow the church if that's what they wanted to do. And McKenna, you did. I mean, that was your role and your path. And I respect it wholeheartedly because I can remember all the feelings I had going into all these events that you've gone into in your younger years. It's just who I was. And I can remember how happy my journals.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
I love
you
your
read my journals and I was a kid.
I kind of talked about your story. The big thing I want us to go through, because obviously when you and Scott did get together.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Which is fine. While all that was happening, we were with Dad.
Yeah.
I want to go to the part where we then did move in with you guys, which I was in high school.
Right. So when that time came, see, by then the reason why you guys were with your dad is, I don't know if you talked about it before, but basically Scott and I got married quickly. And then he went to Iraq. He's in the military. And I was super devoted to him because he was just, one thing your dad had a hard time doing is showing affection and praise, like in words. And I am, my love language is words of affirmation. And my second love language is, well, I always wonder about this, but
it's all right. All women have all five.
I don't
we know.
I would say affection, but I was kind of starved for affection back then. So I think I needed it more. I don't need it as much anymore. But I definitely know words. Words will cut me down and build me up. Like, it's just very powerful for me. And so Scott was giving that to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was being fed. It was so nice to be fed. It felt like for the first time in a long time I was fed. And then he started to pull away. It was the weirdest thing, but he was going through stuff. And I mean, I went through a lot of hardship when it came to that relationship with Scott because of his ex-wife. And she was trying to get him back behind the scenes. There was a lot of ulterior motives
because he had kids.
He had kids with her. He had older kids too, but they were already living with their mom. But the two younger kids, and there's a lot there. I'm not even going to get into that part. I'm just going to say right now, when he left, my world fell apart. He's all of a sudden just said, I want a divorce. I had no idea what was going on. He was still in Iraq when this was happening. And I was like, what is going on? Because everything was fine. Then we had one fight, little fight. First time we ever had one. And then he was like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. It was like that fast. And I was like, what? It was just crazy. And so then he came back but that was a big transitional point for me spiritually. That was a huge, important part of my life right then, because I was so broken. I had never been broken. It was worse than even when your dad and I got a divorce. And I think that's just because it took us so long and we had hurt each other so long over time that we were just tired of it. But with him, it was new. And I was like being fed for the first time. And I was just like, what is happening here? And my world was falling apart. And then I just didn't know if I could take care of you guys because I had to move out of the house. I didn't have a way of taking care of it. And your dad was like, I'll take them temporarily, like just for 6 months. And I was like, please. Okay. So he took you guys and it was super hard on me, but it was necessary because I knew I was falling apart. I was a mess at that time. Moved in with my friend, shared a room. It was kind of a real rough time during that time. But with Scott, I felt this strong. There was something with Scott that was different than I've never experienced before. But when that all went down, I was so broken that I turned to God in a way that was like laying on the altar, like crying on my knees, praying, help me. I don't know what to do. I started reading the Bible for the first time, really, because I referenced the Bible in the church. But I did. I read the King James. No. I take that back. The King James version was a little intimidating, but I started like leaning towards a Christian feel because I didn't want to leave what I knew was my roots. But before this happened, I wasn't praying anymore because I felt like the Lord was mad at me because I had left the church. In my mind, I kept thinking he's mad at me. I can't approach him. I can't ask him for anything. He's not happy with me. I don't know what to do. Like that's how bad it was for me. But when this happened, I was so broke that I just fell on my knees and just wept and cried. And I'm not just talking once. I'm talking, it was every day. And the thing that just kept coming back to me was, and I was reading the Bible, but I was reading the new King James version, which was a little easier to understand. And I know all the Mormons that are listening right now are going to be like,
stop
hey,
it.
Translations. Okay,
Stop
I already
it.
know that didn't matter. For
fine.
me, it was just about understanding the message there, especially where Jesus, in the New Testament. And I really was reading the New Testament big time. And I was highlighting like, you can't believe, like I was into it. But for me, it was just like, I felt with Scott that the Lord had a plan for me with him, that he had a really specific plan for me, that the message that kept coming to me was, I've just got to love him unconditionally through this. I felt like Scott needed to know. See, you have to understand something unique about this situation. Scott's was married 3 times before me.
Yep.
Every relationship he has been in before me, the woman left him every time, including girlfriends. All of them have left him. I'm the only woman that he ever left. And that's where I knew I needed to be something. I felt that I was a part of something the Lord was working out with Scott. And what I felt like was that I needed to show him that he still loved, even though he's hurting me deeply, that I'm still loving him anyway. And that the Lord loves him, even though he doesn't think he's worthy of love. That was the message I felt like I had to send through my actions. And that was the hardest thing. I've never been through anything in my life like that, because that was like, I used to say this, I'm loving you out the door. That was my mantra in my head. I'm loving him out the door. Love him out that door, because he was leaving me. So when he came back from Iraq, he acted like things were normal for 1 minute. And it was like a reunion of beauty and wonderful. I thought I was back. And then he left to go visit his kids who were living in Minnesota, and I lost him again. Yep. He fell off the face of the planet. He didn't call me. He wasn't texting me. And then I finally got a call from him admitting, I'm getting back together with Jennifer, his ex-wife. And I had no idea it was even happening. I thought she was married, because she was, but they got a divorce before he came to visit. Didn't know any of that.
It's a whole
So anyway, found all that out after the fact. And so anyway, if I'm going too long with this, tell me, Kenna. Okay, because I know
an hour,
this is a lot.
Which is,
but
like
this
you said,
is
we're trying to.
This is a very meaty part of my story.
Yeah.
This part, because it really affected me and changed the course of my life from that point out. With Scott, I remember having a dream, or not dream. I was praying, and in my prayer, I feel like I had a vision. Mm-hmm. I saw a little boy who was blonde poking his head out from behind a tree at me. And I knew in my heart that that was Scott as a little boy. I had never seen a picture of him as a little boy at that time. I didn't know what he looked like. But I felt like I didn't have to be told that. It was, when the vision came to my head, I knew that I was being shown Scott. And the message that came to my head at that moment was, remember him like this little boy. Love the little boy. And that was important, because at that time when I got that momentary vision in my prayer, when I was praying and crying and all that, it was because he was hurting me again. Like, he'd come and gotten his stuff out of the house, and he took the little tiny TV. I was working that day, but I told him he could come.
This is so sad.
He had a big TV. I knew he was taking that. I knew he was taking other things, but he had a 13-inch little TV that was in your room.
Yeah.
That I figured he was going to leave. He knew that it was for you to watch. And I'm like, come on, it's 13 inches. It's not like it's expensive. It's a little tiny TV. And I had been so understanding and so giving to him and letting him go. And it was killing me and all of that. And I came home and saw he took that 13-inch TV.
I think I was crying to you about it.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I lost it. My mothering protectiveness came out. And I called him on the phone and I said, you took the 13-inch TV from the child, no less. Did you need to do that? I mean, because I had not challenged him at all.
Yeah.
But he was like taken aback by it. Like, I didn't realize. I'm like, you didn't realize? You just hurt McKenna. McKenna was hurt, you know? And so he's like, oh, I'll get the TV. I'll bring the TV back. You can have the TV. I think he brought it back. I can't remember if he did or not.
Oh, no.
Either way, it was a moment where I called him out. But other than that, though, he had been hurting me like that. Yeah. And I was just so, I couldn't understand. And that's when I saw that vision of him as a boy, like, remember him like this. This is the little boy acting out. Like, or the little boy is in there. He's in this man. And he's a hurt little boy. Yeah. He's got scars on him, and you need to love the little boy like I love him, the Lord, I felt like was saying. And that was my vision that I kept firm and fast in my head, like all through that time. And it was a while. It was a year and a half that but he had called me periodically. He would check in with me here and there. And I mean, I still loved him. I was in love with him. I wanted to be with him. I loved him. And I didn't care that he had hurt me. I wanted to be back with him. And so I eventually started dating, and then he'd come back around, and then the guy would get kicked to the curb because I didn't want to be with another guy. I wanted to be with him. And then as long as I wasn't with the guy, then he would leave again. He was a jerk. I mean, he knows it. And he said it to me. Like he definitely manipulated that situation. He didn't want me to be with anybody else, but he didn't want to take me back yet. And he was still living. I mean, him and Jennifer were kind of in and out of that. It was a nightmare. They never remarried, but they lived together. And I already knew that was going to be a nightmare because they were not compatible. But they had children, and that was their biggest issue. And that was Scott's biggest issue, that he loved his children so much. Scott reminds me a lot of my mom. There's a lot of crossovers there. I get a lot of the same things. There's a lot of stuff there. Yeah. But ultimately he came around, would go away, come around. My heart would break. I would go through this pain. It was horrible. It was just, but I let him in. This was my victim story, remember? But now I've realized I wasn't the victim. I allowed every single bit of it. I let him come and go every time. And it hurt me, but I felt like I can take it. I felt like my heart is pliable enough to handle this. I just need to still have a connection to him. And then finally, he came back around the third, third time. I don't even know what time it was. It was many times later, but it was like a year and a half later. And he came back around, and he finally got to the point. He had gotten an apartment and all of this, and he hadn't let me see the kids since we were married.
Right.
And I knew that was the final frontier. Like, he's still not letting me see the kids, and that sucks because I was his wife, you know, and I know those kids. Like, I knew them. And anyway, so we finally got back together again, and it went fast after that, and we were back together again and thrust our families together again. And
which now I can bring in. Now I can finally say, like, this is where I got to come in.
So go ahead.
As I swift us through. As you guys know, this is usually how my mom's and my phone calls go. Yeah. Is we start out with a 10-minute topic and we're on the phone 2 hours later.
That's about right. That's how it is with every one of my daughters.
So we come back. At this time, I did not want him to live with you.
No, and Kayla was mad at me too.
Yeah, it was not. Ginger was the only one ready to come back and live with you.
Ginger was at a point where she was wanting her mommy.
Yes,
and I wanted, and I missed her deeply because she was my baby, and she was like 7.
Yeah,
and I was sad because I missed all of you guys, but it was just hard when you have a younger one in the mix. Yes.
So first, Kayla came back. Kayla was going through her own issues.
Well, that was the beginning of it all. Yes. Yeah, Kayla came back, had some issues, and it was good. It out. She went through some struggles with some drug issues, and it was scary for all of us because drugs, remember, freaked me out. So I was like, no, my daughter will not do that, and scared me. And at that time, my jobs, I have been in lots of different women industries type thing, but I was a manager for LA Weight Loss, and they decided they closed their doors. Like the company went down at that point, but I had been there for like a few years by when that happened. But I was happy because what I found my joy was when I worked for LA Weight Loss and I would counsel with women about their feelings and their emotions about the food. And I mean, I can relate. I've been around, I've had my struggles with food all my life, and my body image and all of that. And so I found my calling, if you will, when I would sit with them because I realized I'm so good at motivating people.
Oh, I will for sure call it out, Mom. You were the OG weight loss coach. Like you started doing it at home, but it had not started. It was not a thing.
After LA Weight Loss closed, I wanted to go into a coaching of my own because I didn't want it to end. I wanted to build on it, like do it differently than LA Weight Loss did it, obviously.
And I know there's a lot of different types of coaching positions now, but back then there wasn't.
No, it was the whole kind of industry was very much in its infancy at that time, and it was very scattered. There wasn't a lot of options to like go and do anything or learn how. I kind of took from my own experience of just knowing how to talk to people, and I was good at it. I was good at digging in, and there's something I learned about myself, which is when I'm talking to somebody, and I used to call it getting in the zone. For me, that was my zone moment. There was this feeling that would come over me when I was talking to somebody, and I would just feel this, like the movement of the spirit almost. It was just this very intense feeling of being alive and so focused at the same time. And what happened, it would be like, I know what this person, I could see the problem. I know how to sift right through it with them. I can get to it and I can spearhead it right now. And we would just cut, boom, get to it. And that sometimes worked with people and sometimes it didn't. Some people didn't like that approach at all. And I get it because they don't want to be called out, but I tried to call people out in the nicest way possible. Yeah. I did because I have had people in my life that were like that for me, mentors that I've seen that were honest and good, loving, but called me out. And I loved that. Yeah. Because I'm like, people don't do that enough, but they need to do it in a way that's going to be, I can take the medicine. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. That's how it was. I needed that. And I really emulated after that point. But I had some of my most amazing experiences at LA Weight Loss with people that I got to know and clients. And I feel like I made a difference in their life. And then when I went on to coach from home, we got off topic a little bit. I'll bring it back to Kayla here in a second, but I finally was like, great, I get to go home and I'm going to figure this out. I had all the names of the people from my thing. I started doing a newsletter, like a blog kind of a thing that I would put out every week, which I love to do. And so I was loving it, but money, obviously, it was hard,
Yeah.
And I had a severance package from my job. So I wasn't in a situation where I absolutely needed to go back to work or anything. And Scott was working. But at that time, that's when Kayla went through her thing. And I said to McKay and your stepmom, Tracy, I was like, I have the ability. I'm home now. Let her come be with me because, see, understand, even though I still technically had the custody on paper, that you guys had been living with your dad for
3 years.
Yeah. I can't use that as my, I have, and I didn't want to anyway. But the point is that it had to be something that everybody was on the same page with. Your dad, you girls. I was an open door, but I needed your dad to make that decision. And it was hard for me because I didn't think he'd ever let go. Yeah. I didn't think he'd do it. And I was hoping he would. And I kept praying to the Lord that I would get back. And it's funny, one of the people that I used to love to listen to, still do occasionally, I listen to him, Joel Osteen. So good. So good. I mean, this is where I say people need to expand their horizons and not just listen to one type of person in their genre. Like in the church, listen to other people out there. Yeah. Use a shopping cart method. Leave what you don't like and put the things in the cart that you do. But there's something that you're going to get from it if you're open-minded. And I feel like that's the way we all should be. Don't shut it down because they're not in our parameters. But anyway, in that situation, Joel Osteen, I remember, was talking about how sometimes you feel like there's years that were wasted. And with kids, especially, if you didn't have time with them, or maybe you regret things that happen, and you just feel like you'll never get that time back, or that you lost those experiences. And that's how I felt then, because you were living with your dad, and I was missing out, and I was sad, and I was just like, but I didn't know how to put my foot in that scenario. I just didn't know how. It was an awkward thing for me at the time. And anyway, I remember Joel Osteen saying, the Lord will make up the time that you lost. Just stay on the right path. If you stay on the right path, he will make it up and then some. You will get it all back and more. And boy, if his words aren't bringing the absolute truth to me, absolutely now as time has gone on, because I have gotten it all back and more. I have my daughters. I have I love you girls. You're my life. Like, no, let's not say that, because we all are autonomous people that have our own responsibilities. I'm not going to put that on you like that's your responsibility, but more like my children are my joy now. And especially now that you're all older, and we're all firing on the same, we can talk and we can, and I'm so grateful that I have the relationships that I have with my daughters that are honest and open. And Kayla, my oldest daughter, your sister, has been struggling over the last few years with a lot of things going on in her personal life, and social anxieties, and not leaving the house, and just a lot of things going on. And it's been hard on everybody, but luckily, thank goodness, she has stayed in contact with me for the most part. And it was a rocky road there for a while, because she was kind of not in her full capacity. Like her mind was kind of really playing tons of tricks on her and doing all kinds of things, but she pulled out. And now, I mean, I'm just so grateful, because that girl has given me that girl has made me stress over the years, trust me. But like when she first came to live with me, when we did that, we just had her come to live. She didn't want to be there. We were letting her go to school in Centerville still, Utah, but we were living in Layton. She was still going to school, but living with us. But eventually we had to pull her out, and that was a bad thing. But I cried with her over that. I was like, I'm sorry, but you're going to this school. And she was so mad at me. And I cried with her, because I know how hard it is to change schools, because I did many times.
She was in the middle of sophomore year?
Junior year.
Junior year.
That's a hard time. And I knew it. And I was just literally brokenhearted for her. But the point was, this isn't healthy for you to be at that school anymore. The friends, it's not convenient. You have to drive 20 so minutes to get to school and back every day. And I was just like, and she was breaking some rules. And that was kind of like, at that time, I had Scott behind me forcing me, but I enforced all of the rules. Like I was the one doing everything, but he was like the backbone to me.
Yeah.
And that was the best version of my parenting self during that time. Like able to hold her accountable, but I was so loving to her.
You were.
I just poured so much love into her because I knew what she needed was to know that she's loved and accepted no matter what happens at that point. And she pulled out of it. She got better friends and everything came around, but she was the first. And then Ginger wanted to come because she just wanted to be with her mom.
Mom.
And I understood
That's why Ginger was like, I'm in.
Yeah, Ginger was
I'm
not
happy
a problem.
to be back.
But McKenna was like, no, I don't want to. Don't make me go. And I was like, hurt. You don't love me? But you have to understand, McKenna, you speak for yourself on this one.
I was going to say, so I had come back during that time. So me and Tracy did not get along when her and Dad got married. And I knew I very much got along with my mom. So I wanted to move back with you. So I was there with you when you and Scott were trying to come back together. And that's when Dad pulled me aside and said, this isn't healthy. Like, your mom needs to figure out what's going on with Scott, which was true. I mean, it was a very small house. It wasn't, however, it was a great time because
you got one-on-one time with me.
One-on-one time. That's when our relationship grew. I met Cammie.
Yeah,
I was going to a great school.
Yeah, and we'll explain that. You started going to
Christian Life Center, but it was their school, so Layton Christian Academy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And it was great. I loved that school. It was a great time.
I think it was so important, McKenna, that you were the one doing that experience because you were the child that was very much like, if it's not in this circle of my life, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like if it's not
we'll
Mormon,
get into that because it goes
bad.
Yes, and thank heavens I've come through that. So because of that, I ended up going back with Dad and Tracy, and I stayed there through my whole junior high career. And then it came to a point, and I can't blame her. She had been dealing with us three girls. Kayla was going through all of her stuff. Ginger,
I'm a stepmom too, and I had a stepmom,
and so I was the people pleaser, so I was trying to do everything to. At this point, I was begging Dad and Tracy, do not make me go back to Mom's, because in the world I lived in, Mom doesn't go to church. Right. I'm going to church. I have all my friends here. I'm going into high school. I don't want to go back to Mom. And at that point, Kayla and Ginger were already there. It just made sense to keep us together.
It did. And I mean, honestly, I just remember, I was very open with, I had some conversations with Tracy a few times, your stepmom, about how I said, I know it's up to you guys, but I want my children back. And, but I know it's up to you, and I'm going to defer to that. And it'll happen when the Lord feels it's right for all of us. So I had that conversation with her like once or twice. She knew my heart, because remember, I'm all about, if you feel my authenticity, you know, I'm coming from the truth, and that's what I believed. And that's what I felt. And I think that I don't know what was going on. I surmise in my mind what I think was going on was, Tracy, it's hard to be a stepmom. I know it is,
especially the three teenagers. And at that time, I was so mad because I had to end up coming. But now looking back on it, I'm so grateful it happened.
Yeah,
and of course, I mean,
I am too.
So when we moved in, it was at that point, we would go to Dad's every other weekend still, and then on the off weekends we'd stay at home. Right. And when we'd go to Dad's, we'd go to church. And at this point, it was then that we were going to Christian Life Center.
Yeah, on my Sundays.
On your Sundays. And you had a conversation with me. You said, McKenna, when it is my Sundays, you are coming to church with me. Because I want you to see that just because some people aren't LDS, aren't Mormon, they're not bad. Even though I had gone to Layton Christian Academy, I still was so like, but it's Sunday.
Yes.
I want to go to church. And again, I am 100% grateful you made me do that, because it really did. Like, it broke that little shell that I just thought, and I know a lot of lies were fed into me, that because you had left the church that you were going to hell and you were doing all this. And I took that because I'm just a kid. I just was like, okay. But as time and that shell broke, I was like, oh my gosh, thank heavens. And I don't think that's what the LDS religion is. That was just certain people in my life who had that tacked onto them.
I have known many.
Yeah.
I have some amazing people in my life that were LDS that I love and will always love in my life. Ginger Yule being one of them. If she ever hears this, I don't know.
We'll send it to her.
But just so she knows.
Who Ginger's named after.
That my youngest daughter is named Ginger because Ginger Yule both me and her dad, contrary to other people's beliefs about her name, we both came to the decision of Ginger simultaneously. Like at the same time, we both said, well, you know what it should be? It should, because we thought she was going to be a boy and she was a girl. And then I was like, I don't even have a girl name in my mind. And then he's like, you know what it should be? And I'm like, yeah, I think I do. What do you think? And he goes, Ginger. And I said Ginger at the same time, because Ginger Yule had been an instrumental part of my life and a mentor in my life. She is somebody that I absolutely just admire and still do. And just because I'm not active in the church, my look at her, there's just so many beautiful people in the church, and she's one of them. And I am just grateful I got to learn under her and be under her, because I was around her, and she saw my beauty and she saw my authenticity. Yeah. And that's, I guess, where people say I felt seen. And that's how she was with me. She saw me. And she saw my goodness when others were looking at things and only looking for the bad in me. She was seeing all the good. And she would say, you're so honest. That's not like everybody. People aren't honest like that. Like I was just so unforgivingly honest about myself too, to people, like just open about myself. So anyway, to the point.
I just, because we're at this point, I want to go now that we've kind of understand where you are, I want to just talk about, which I'm so grateful. I've loved just listening to this, even though I've heard most of these stories. It's just awesome. The power of the podcast. I want to talk about just the things that I remember most with you, that certain things. So the one being you making me go to church, Christian Life Center, which again, they are still there in Layton, Utah. Yeah, I love them. They are a great organization. I've learned amazing things from them. I was in the Christmas play.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
I was great. I was an angel.
She was an angel, and she rocked it.
Thanks, Mom. So it was awesome. The Nistler family, who is still very much a part of that church, love them. I'm going to get Cammie on.
Oh, good.
It's going to be good.
That's great.
Another big one was we moved. So at this time we were living in Layton. Then Scott went to active duty. And we moved on base.
Well, he didn't go to active duty. His reserve unit was called in. He had to go TDY. Okay. Which means, like, I always forget the name of it. Basically, when you have to go do your work overseas or wherever, not overseas, but you know what I mean? You go to wherever they need you to go to. Yeah.
So we moved on Hill Air Force Base. And it was in the brand new, like we were the first family in the house.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's us 3 girls plus Scott's 2 youngest kids. Yeah. At that point, just things. So we have 5 kids in this house.
But it was there was 4 rooms.
I thought it was
bedrooms.
Great. And I was just telling my mom before, like, that is the pinnacle where I feel like that is the family.
The gelling. At that point, though, what was hard for you, Scott left to Germany. Yeah.
You then had 5 kids. And
their mom they would still go to their moms. Ashley and Zach would go to their moms, but
and we would go to dad's.
Many of the time they ended up with us a lot. Yeah. So they were with us a lot of the time, even when Scott wasn't there.
But you then were blending the 2 families by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that. But it cohesively, I'm not going to say, I mean,
it wasn't perfect. Yeah. And there was a couple bad memories that I have that I feel really bad about.
It's okay.
And I've already talked it out with the kids that were involved, because, I mean, things happen, but
blended families are hard.
But I would say overall, I was a good step parent.
A great mother. a great stepmom.
I wasn't the best, but I was good.
You were what we needed. And so that was, at that point, another lesson that was big for me that we always talk about. It was my junior year. So Kayla, so I started going to Northridge sophomore year. Kayla was a senior, so we would drive together. Yeah. Kayla then graduates, and I'm now going to a junior. And I'm ticked because Kayla got a car when she was 16, and I got nothing. Yes. And I'm like, hold on, Kayla got a LeBaron. Like, it's old.
Your dad gave that to her, so it's not. It didn't come from my side.
So I'm just sitting there, like,
didn't get you the car.
No, Dad, Mom's not doing anything. Okay. Okay. So you had to sit down and you're like, McKenna, there is a bus who comes by our house to take you to school, and you can take it. And I lost it. No,
because you always wanted me to drive you is what it was.
And so it became too much because I was having to leave early. I was the only kid going to high school.
And I didn't understand why.
Because as a child in a junior year high school.
I understood. Don't get me wrong. No, I understood the social reasons for it. I just now being an adult looking at it thinking, this is ridiculous. I'm really teaching you a bad thing if I'm like, going out of my way to keep you from being uncomfortable and feeling like you're not popular with the uncool kids on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a bad message I'm sending my kid.
And I would do it the same to my children now too, because you sat me down and you said, I'm not raising a diva.
I can't even believe, I don't even remember saying diva.
I remember hearing that. I'm not raising a diva. You are going to ride the bus. And you told me, if you miss the bus, then you have to figure out how to get to school. Because not that I ever would, but it's almost like you had to cover your bases. Like, don't think, which again, it would be so fun out of my character. But again, it was like you were covering, like, if you miss the bus, then you don't go to school. And I was that perfectionist type that I was like, I'm not going to miss school.
Right.
I'll just ride the bus. So I would. And I had to ride it, I think,
for a while.
For the whole year.
No, you started when Scott went to Germany.
I was helping with kids.
Because, again, she didn't like a conventional job. Yes. So in order for me to feel...
Maybe I was a spoiled brat and you saw it and you were getting me out of it.
You got out of it.
You're right.
But I'm just saying, at the time, you were very adverse to it because you loved your little social life and you didn't want to have it compromised by a job. And so for us to feel like we could justify you even driving the vehicle around, because it's like, well, she's not paying for her gas. She's not doing that. We had to like kind of come up with a solution to solve the issue, which was, okay, you're going to take the kid, you're going to pick the kids up from school, Ashley and Zach from their school, because they were going to a private school in Layton also. Yeah. And so they went, she had to pick them up. She had to
I was the mom
and stuff,
van.
But you could drive.
But I could drive the car to school. Which was great, because some days it was a really sporty car, which was yours, or other days it was the Expedition. I was like, I'm showing up to high school in Expedition. Awesome.
Party bus.
Yeah. That's why I was like, this is great. But yeah, so it worked out. I ended up, thank you, Dad. He did end up getting me a car.
He did.
My junior year. It was stick shift. And I remembered the conversation with you. I was like, okay, is this just rude? Did they just get me a car, but it's stick shift? I don't know how to drive it. And you were the one who coached me through it.
Yeah, because my first car was a stick shift.
Yeah, you're like, swim or sink at this point.
That's
it's
how
a car.
It was for me, because I was like given a stick shift car and I was like, well, hell, I'm not going to not drive this car just because of a stick thing. I'll figure it out. And I was like, boom, boom. Like the car was like
shaking,
trying to go up hills, and I'd get stalled and I'd start falling back and I'd be screaming like horrible. But I did it because I wanted my freedom so bad that I worked through it.
And the same thing. And I got so good at it that I was like, in my stick shift, this is my perfectionist, I would watch in the corner of my eye if I ever had someone with me when I would shift to watch if they would jerk. Yeah. I got so good to make sure, are they jerk? They're not moving. Yeah. Okay, good.
It's
I'm
smooth.
I'm
shifting I'm a smooth shifter.
But there's so many things like that. And like I said, there were hard times, but Mom, you really good. You got us all on a structure for holding the fort down by yourself at that time.
I did my best.
I thought I remember the good things. That was the
time when everybody loved it, like the snacks bag.
Oh my. I don't remember
still
that.
Raved.
The three younger ones remember that.
Well, they were the problem children in that problem. They would eat us out of house and home. Like I go to the store and it would like all the snacks would just disappear within 2 days. And I'm like, oh, now we have nothing. So then I had this idea that I'm gonna sit down, and what I did, I pulled them all together and I sat everybody together and I said, look, okay, I'm giving you each one of you is getting your own big baggie. And inside that big baggie, we are going to fill it with the week's worth of snacks for each one of you. Now, they had to go through. I had like a whole bunch of stuff on the counters. They had to choose their snacks, which ones they liked. Then we used the serving size suggestion on the back of the box, because like Cheez-Its in a box and things like that. I would get the little baggies and put the serving size in from each suggested serving size. And then I'd have them all sitting there. And then each one of them got, I think it was 3 snacks a day. Yeah. That was it. So I had to account 3 snacks a day for a week. And so they got to choose, and they had their baggie with their name on it. And then I told them, it's yours to decide. You're getting 3. I'm allotting for 3 snacks a day. Now, if you overdo that, you're going to be out of snacks before you're done. So it's up to you. And they like Zach remembers it really good. He loved it. He was like, that was the best. And Ashley liked it too. That she did good on that because she was the little sneaker, the one that was always still in the snacks. But they all did it. Yes, and then Ginger liked it too, because then she didn't feel like she had to fight to keep her snacks.
That's what I was gonna say. The three younger ones, me and Kayla were in and out. We never.
It was like gnashing of teeth. These children, they were all like incompetitive,
But
like trying to get the snacks.
We had family rules. We've written it out on a poster board in rainbow writing.
Yes, we did.
Those were our family rules as the blended family. Right? That's why I'm like, it was good there. You guys built such good structure.
We didn't mention that me and Scott went to step-parenting classes.
And I talked about that in my episode, and I was very grateful. We saw the benefits of it.
Yeah,
we truly did, because it was like, and it helped that Scott, and I said this on my episode, and I want to say it here because obviously, hello, you're married to him. I love Scott. Yeah. Scott is a great stepfather. I know we had those little marks back there, but when we were living with you guys, it was like, no, he really was. He never overstepped boundaries. It was always like you said, he might have been your backbone, but anything that was coming from a parental, that was from you.
Yeah, it did. And I wanted it that way because I knew I was going to deliver it with a lot more love.
Yeah. And it would be received differently.
Exactly.
Yes. So that was a good time. So, and we're getting to that point where I'm like, okay, what should we put in? But I want to talk about, we ended up moving.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, it was past the middle of my senior year.
Yeah, I know. It was like 2008. I want to say when we moved.
Not 2008.
No, 11. 2011 is when we moved.
Yeah, because then, okay, so, and I graduated in 2012. Yeah. So I'm in my senior year. Kayla wasn't living with us at the point. So it was just, I was the oldest. And that's when you guys decided to move to a house off base, which not ironically, it was the house that Jennifer.
Okay, let's back up.
I was like, I don't even know how to talk about this.
Scott bought that house when he was married to Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
They bought it basically together, but it was in his name. And they lived there with their kids and everything, and they got divorced at that place. But then she stayed living there. And he moved out with me, obviously. And so she stayed, and it was like renting the house.
Right.
Like from him, if you will. And but then she used to throw these things out. Okay, I won't even get started because he's driving me crazy. But anyway, she used to say to the kids, she'd be starting to plant seeds like, well, one day you guys are going to move into that house and Heather's going to live there. It'll be your house. And I was like, why? I don't want to live in that house. That was your guys' house. Why would you say that? Like, it really made me mad that she was always throwing that out there with the kids, because the kids always brought it up to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is she saying that? Because I don't want to live there. Anyway, then she ended up moving out of that house and he rented it to a friend of his.
Right.
And I remember at the time on base, the one thing I did miss, I loved living on base. Loved it. But you had to only have 2 dogs and we had 3.
And you had to have an ID.
You had an ID.
Let's talk about the amount of times that we couldn't get home.
In and out of the base was a protection for all of us, but very, very inconvenient.
But yes.
Very inconvenient. Plus, our back of our backyard faced the street. Do you know it took me 15 minutes to get to where the backside of my house was on the street behind my house, just to get off base to get there?
Now, you could have everything on base, but there were more things that we needed off base.
I'm talking about if I need to go on the freeway or go anywhere, I had to take like 15 minutes just to get off the base. And it was so sad. I could literally just drive from my back door and I'd be there in less than 30 seconds. It was just so sad. But anyway, so the base wouldn't allow us to have a lot of we only could have 2. We had 3 dogs. Yeah. We would do the rotating of the dogs.
This is so bad. If the U.S. government is listening, please do not.
Oh, please! There's so many people to break that dog.
So we had a German Shepherd and 2 black labs. So we
would always send one black dog with the German Shepherd out to the back.
And then we'd switch.
We'd switch the black dog out.
It's so funny now, but it was so stealth back there. At least we thought. Anyway, even though one of the black labs is very overweight compared to the other
we were just hoping people weren't paying attention too closely to what was going on. But anyway, except for the day then Raven decides to take a walk outside of the yard was open, and then Greta decides to take after her, and then all dogs were out wandering. I'm like, we're gonna be caught. 3 dogs are on the loose. Anyway, so we moved. I wanted to move into a house though, because I wanted to have our own space.
Yes.
Plus I'm always been big about decorating and making things my own.
They had very strict rules with the houses.
I loved doing those things. And you can only do so much. So I was just really like, we went there to clean the house for his friend to move in. I was cleaning it. That's what it was. And while I was there cleaning it to get it ready for them to move in, I started to envision what it would be like there, you know, like, oh, I could do this and I could clean that, or I could fix that up and I could make this place be better, so much better than it was. And I just had all kinds of hopes and dreams about what I wanted to do there. And so it started my mind going. And so I started talking to Scott a little bit about it. Well, and the rent was going to be cheaper because we were like, he owned the house. So his rent was, or not rent, his mortgage was lower. There was a lot of benefits there that seemed like it made sense at the time. And it's close. It wasn't that far away.
Right.
So we ended up giving them notice that we were going to go out, or he had his friend live there for a couple of months or 3 or 4 months or something like that. And then I think we said, you know, we gave him a couple months more and then we moved in. And so go from there. What did you want to say?
So basically it was a shift. It was hard.
Yeah, of course
it was very hard to move in. I as well came with you. We had a deep clean that house. It was I just remember cleaning, and I then remember
you were with
painting.
me when I was cleaning.
Yes. So I remember painting walls, and I was getting excited too, but we talked about this before the episode, and there was a shift in our family that happened when we moved into the house.
It's true.
It became very hard. And I was in my senior year. I moved to Vegas after my senior year because I was going through my own issues, got very homesick, came home. Then I went on a mission.
Yes.
So, and I talk about that in the episode with Ginger. I left. Kayla was gone. It was then Ginger, Ash, and Zach, and you and Scott. And a lot of things happened. And I was asking
when Scott started drinking more. His alcohol, and he wasn't hiding it from the kids then. He used to hide it from them when they were little. Like he didn't let them see because he didn't want their mom to know that he was more drinking. But it's like it shifted and became out of control.
Yeah.
Too much drinking.
And we talked about this right before the episode though. I was like, Mom, why is it that there was just something with that house? And you said, no, there was a weird spirit, vibe, energy that shifted all of us, because now that we're all out,
it's fine.
It's totally fine. It's as if it was before when we were on base.
Yeah.
And the more you and I were just talking about that, I was like, oh my gosh, because I came home from my mission and I just thought it's being off the mission. But now, as we've talked about, I was like, no, I felt it and I had to leave. Like it was so bad. And I don't know if we want to talk about.
It's okay.
We can talk about. Kids were having different experiences. I never did. Ginger didn't. And you said, well, you know, you and Ginger had pictures of Christ.
Yeah.
We had the scriptures.
Yeah.
Maybe.
This is down in their bedroom area where the rooms were downstairs.
Yeah. So we were in the basement, but me and Ginger never had any issues other than we just felt like, man, everyone is in a crappy mood.
Yeah.
Everyone was always in a bad mood every day. That's why I think me and Ginger really did bond, because we were right by each other and we're like, well, we're fine.
Yeah.
And you were having to go through a lot because Scott's going through his thing. You're trying to also help with the kids.
It's just me being the people pleaser that I am. I'm always trying to like work on like bringing everybody together, but it exhausts me, and it literally just I drains me out, and that's how I felt all the time. I was just, and I was working. I worked from home a lot of the time, and I drowned myself a lot of times in work because it was the only thing I could control. It felt like, in some ways.
And I mean, go listen to Ginger's episode, anyone who's listening here, because she talks about it. And you and Ginger have worked through a lot of that, because that was a really hard time. But you had just told me something before that I never even knew.
Yeah. So do you want to tell her, or do you want me to?
You can tell about Zach.
So when I was like, it was not long. I don't know. I was working for Wayfair at the time, and I was going into work. I wasn't working from home at that point.
Yeah.
And I was driving. He was there and he was downstairs. Ashley was also there, but she was asleep upstairs. And Zach was downstairs, and I thought he was sleeping. I mean, usually he is. And I just went to work. Well, the weird thing is I never get calls from Zach, like especially in the morning, because he's sleeping. So I'm on my way to work and I get a call from him. And he's like, Heather, are you here? And I said, no. He goes, Heather, can you come downstairs? I said, honey, I'm not there. I'm on my way to work. I'm almost at work right now. What's going on? And he said, oh, okay. He goes, is Ashley here? And I said, she's here. And he goes, okay. And I said, well, what's wrong? And he said, I just had a really, really scary thing happen to me. He goes, it was like he was pinned down in the bed and couldn't move. And he said he was just terrified. There was this, he was like incapacitated. And I mean, I've heard that in other were like shows.
We
I've
were talking
watched.
how you like the Ghost Hunter stories. I do not.
I like
do not. We already know.
Adventures
I don't
is
deal with
one
these
of my
things.
favorite shows like
Maybe
that.
that's why, because I've already put out the like Omen. Do not mess with me. I will not do it. And I'm not saying Zach was.
We could talk about the doll in the Bay's house that ended up in my house, but we're not going to do. That was a ghost moment. But anyway, all I'm going to say is this: it was scary to him, and I was like, was he imagining it? Like, that was weird. Like,
because he was young.
And you have to understand, Zach's personality wouldn't just do that. That wasn't typical of him to say that or even claim that. Like, it was just out of character. And he wasn't that young. He was like in high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, never mind. Well, and you said there was a man who died in that house.
Yeah. The owners, before the ones that they bought the house from, I guess they were older couple. They bought the house when it was first built. And so he died of old, I don't know what, of in the bedroom, in our bedroom upstairs. And then she went into a nursing home. That's why they bought the house.
Okay.
So
see, so there's all that.
But it didn't
so we
seem
don't
like
know.
a bad
It didn't.
death. It seems
But
like
now, as we look back on it more, we're like, wow, so many issues came through that house. Because now you are a properly RV couple, as she's adjusting. But it was, you had said too, like when you guys were transitioning into the RV, you were moving out of the house. The RV's in the driveway, and I come to visit you guys.
We are parked in the driveway.
And Kayla and her boyfriend Dylan were staying at the house because they were moving houses, but they had a week that they had to
get out of their house first, and they had a week before they could get into the new one.
So they were in the house. So I come visit you in the RV, then I walk into the house to go say hi to them. Then I come back out, and I'm like, wow, like there, you can feel it. Like you, and I just was so aware of it. That's probably why I moved right when I got home.
You came back in the RV after going in there, and you said the energy is so different in here versus there. And that was the first time I ever really remember it being on my radar about it. Like, you're right. It feels so much better in here than it does in the house. Yeah. And we were just parked outside for that moment. But I'm telling you, whenever we used to drive up to get the kids before, when Jennifer lived there and before we ever moved in way earlier, I mean, I got sick to my stomach every time I turned the corner and we're getting ready to drive up to the house. That house had this feeling about it, always did. And that's why it shocked me that I wanted to take it on. Yeah. But then it became too much, and I felt like it was this black hole that sucked me in.
And that's the thing. Everyone has their choices. We know that. But I do have to think there was something that just, and I
think there's definitely residual energy in the walls of that house for some reason, because I know the Jennifer life and the world that she lived in, and the people that she brought in, and the arguments and the horrible things, and the police getting called to that place. Yeah. And even after we moved in, it seemed like Ashley called the police. Oh my gosh. I mean, not in my world, but like that's in new kids' generations. Yes. They called police on their parents all the time for stupid things. But anyway. Whatever. That was like horrifying to me, have police showing up at my house. But that happened a lot. There was so much chaos and just toxic drama in that world that they lived in. I believe there was a lot of residual negative energy in the house, in the walls.
I fully believe
just
it now.
In and of itself.
Yeah. I think that's a huge thing. So that's why Ginger had a lot more of it than I did. I was there, but not long. And so listen to her episode. But the two things I do want to talk about that I've seen, us grow through a lot is when I went on a mission. We were in the house. I came back and I left, and it was hard because at that point I know I believe that I was half. I knew that right then, because the age had changed. It was a social thing, but I did feel like I needed to go. Yeah. And
McKenna, you were always looking for something to keep you engaged.
Well, and I wanted to leave the house.
And that was the thing. I mean, but you were always like, I'm bored. I need something new now.
Yeah. And so you were very big, like, are you sure? Because you understood. Yeah. It was a hard thing. But I want to say, like, there was a really cool thing. So when I went out there, it was super hard. I talked about it on my episode. Yeah. And we literally... there was a moment I called you on Christmas because that was just, we weren't Skyping. And I remember just sobbing. You were the only person. And I knew you were the one who said, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I was so nervous that you were going to be like, I told you so.
Oh,
you should come home. But you didn't. And sure enough, you let me cry. You listened to me. You let it out. And then there was a night that I had a dream.
Yeah.
And because I was seriously, I'm like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home. And I had a dream that either there was a plane or I was getting on a plane and I saw you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this moment that I saw you and I was like, I'm not supposed to see you yet.
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to be home yet. And I remember emailing you and you were like, you're not going to believe this.
Yes, I know.
You had the same dream.
I did.
Like we both had it. And I had it during the week. So I emailed you about it on a Monday. It was over the weekend.
Yeah, but I had it that night before I got the email.
It's insane.
Yeah. It was really
that's
crazy.
When we both were like,
mine
okay.
was like, McKenna, I said, you can't come home yet. This isn't time, but I love you. Mm-hmm. It was like she wanted to be home and she knew she came home, but she knew she wasn't supposed to be there yet. And she was torn. And I was like, honey, you can't come home yet. You have something to finish there. And it was, look, your mission was one of the biggest growing experiences of your life. I know that.
Yeah.
And it really helped me to grow too, because it was hard to be away from you that long and be so far away from you. I've never experienced it. Yeah.
Not a lot of communication where we clearly talk a lot.
Right. It was hard, but I felt like I was your cheerleader. I did a really good job, I feel like, of speaking your language to you the way that you needed it.
That was a time that I felt so close to you and Dad. Like those 18 months, I have never felt closer to you two than I ever have. I mean, of course, I've always felt, but
I'm sure.
I relied heavily on you two.
I believe it.
And it was because me and Dad were... He was my dad, but my mission is what made me close to Dad.
Of course, because he could share that experience with you.
And he's a letter type guy. Yes. So emails were huge between us.
And your dad was always a good writer, a good expresser through words.
And then you were my emotions. I could be like, oh, okay, I could lay it on you, but it was good. And so as we're getting close to 2 hours, this is my longest episode.
Guys.
I
hope you're still here and not bored.
But it's my mom. And I'm sure everyone knows that you have this. The last thing that I want to really talk about is Britain.
Yes.
Because I get home, I'm doing my thing in Provo.
And some of this is new for others to hear. They haven't even heard all of this.
You had seen me, I think I brought one guy home before.
Yes, you did.
And you and Scott were always gung-ho, good to go. But like I didn't always just bring guys home because I was going through my own little thing of like trying to find. So I think I had brought one guy home and then that fizzled off. It was nothing. So I was like, great. So when I remember we were at Chuckarama for the family Christmas thing that we did with the Zacresons. Yeah. And I remember telling you and Scott, I'm talking to this guy. His name's Britton. So it was after Thanksgiving. It was in December because he was at the bowl game. Mm-hmm. And I started talking to you guys and I was like, so we've been talking and I showed you a picture. I think it has his ex-girlfriend in it. And I had to keep doing it. Don't look at it. They're not together. It's just that's photos. But I remember first Scott and Zach were like, oh, well, he's your golden age or something. They were telling me that equation.
Oh, yeah. I had never heard of that.
Neither have I. And Zach and Scott were like, oh, we're totally on board because he's in the golden age range because he's younger than me.
You were obsessing over that.
Yes.
Because he was Ginger's age.
Freaking out. I'm like, he's younger than me,
really
though.
Okay. Is this acceptable? And that's probably why they were going, oh,
Scott and Zach were totally like, it's the whole like, what is it? You minus 7 years. You divide it by 11.
Something like that, yeah.
Add 7. Yeah. He was right on the mark. And they're like, you're fine.
Right.
So then he gets home from the bowl game. We go on dates. And then it's like, okay, we're official. He's going on a mission.
Yeah.
And the first people I bring him to meet are you and Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was your first thoughts when you...
Loved him. Always have. Mm-hmm. Always loved him.
Like from the first time you met him, you're like...
I loved, again... I've mentioned this already. I love authenticity in people when they're real and you feel their real warmth. And that was Britton. So warm.
Which you can still feel to this day. That is who he is.
So he brought me flowers. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, wait, I forgot that.
Such a sweet boy. And his parents, if they're listening to this, you guys did such a good job with him. And you're all of those kids. But he's a true testament to being just a good, loving, beautiful boy. I mean, he's just a sweet boy. But anyway, I felt like, oh my gosh, McKenna, this guy is right. This is good for you. And trust me, I mean, you were going through some bad choices, a few different people, not horrible, but not quality people, in my opinion. You were taking scraps when should have been grabbing the golden goose, you know?
Well, and so then you had met him, you guys loved him, and it's okay. Dad has repented. Oh. When he heard the situation, he met him, him and Tracy did. And I remember I had told them, I'm going to wait for him. Yeah. Like, he's serious about me.
No, but you want to bracket that up a little bit and talk about that conversation.
That's what I'm going to talk about. So I had made the point, I'm waiting for him. And I'm in Provo.
It wasn't that. I was talking about when you decided to wait for him.
I'm talking about, well, yeah, then they got the lunch.
We're talking about before that, when you were thinking you were just going to let him. You talked to Britton that day when he was like, I want you to be together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this.
See, I have a pretty good memory when it comes to these things.
Because I called you.
And I get these conversations and I get invested in my conversations with my kids. So I'm like, I remember the details. So not always, but a lot. And this time you were very much like you were like, oh, I mean, he's going on a mission. And I mean, I don't think it's smart to wait. I feel like I should be like dating. I don't want to say it though, because I really like him, but I don't know what to do. And you were just like, because you just couldn't foresee 2 years of your life waiting for somebody.
Having just done a mission.
Right. It just seemed really bad, but yet you liked him a lot.
Well, and clearly like there was something different. I'm like, something's holding me here.
It was. And so that day I remember you calling me and I was on break at work. Mm-hmm. And you were just like, I just don't know. He was so sad and everything. And I was like, what did I say to you at that time?
I'm starting to remember all this now.
I was like, McKenna, you will wait for him. He is good for you. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because he's going on a mission. This is part of your journey too. This something in this is supposed to help you grow. So don't think you need to take the easy route. Don't throw this one to the side for that reason. It's so stupid to me. I'm like, you need to stick with this. And I said, and because he was so hurt and heartbroken is what it was. So you were so sad.
The quote that we use, the infamous quote that he hates that he said it, but now it's what locked me.
Yeah.
At this point, because I had called you on the way over.
Yeah, and then you called me back after,
and I was like, I'm hooked. I'm here.
I'm in. I'm locked.
He was I had told him, I guess I'll date.
Yeah, that's what you told him.
And
yes.
So full on was like, he was distant that day. I was like, something's off, because I had been talking to this guy every day, 24/7 of the day. And I had called you. I'm on his way to his house. I don't know. I think I need to tell him, it's all come back, that we need to just hold it off, go to see him. And this is when he said, McKenna, I know I want to marry you. But if you have to go figure that out, then you go find it out. And it was like, like, he wants to marry me.
Also because of you called me after that conversation. That's what it was. It wasn't before that.
Yeah. So then I called you and I told you, I was like, Mom, he wants to marry me. And it was the first time that I was like, wait, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can totally see myself married to him.
But I have to wait.
Yeah. And it sucks. And that's when you were saying, if anything's good worth having, like, you can do this.
Time is relative.
Like, you had no problem with it. And you helped me be very clear on
I was very straight.
But not everyone was. So then, as I said, back to my dad. My dad then calls me. I'm in Provo. And he's like, he was working in Vernal. So he was in town. He's like, I want to come take you out to lunch. And I'm thinking, this is so nice. My dad never comes and takes me to lunch. So him and Tracy come and sit me down. And they full on are like, realist. You know, it's a long time. He's got to go figure out his mission. Don't be a hindrance to him.
I can see their point on that.
Totally see it now. And that is the thing, because now they would completely take it back. So I was like hating it. I was like, and I wasn't as close to Britton's parents at this point. So I literally just was like, the only two people who want me to wait at this moment, what I was gathering, are Britton and my mom. Those are the only two people who I can like, okay, I want to be here.
Were in it together. It was like a trio.
So, and Britton loves you, and he knows that you were forced, because as he then left, and it was the hardest thing, you were the person that I would call every time it would get hard. And it got especially hard after the year mark.
Yeah, I know it did.
And that's when I was getting like mixed messages, and I'm like, he's going to leave me. I'm older, and maybe I'm just like, I'm looking too much into this. There's other options that are here, and maybe I need to take them now.
Yeah. And what was my reaction to those things? But I'm just
remember
grateful
the one thing
that you called me and asked me my opinion about it.
Because you did help. But the main thing I remember you saying that always, you got me down to the corner and said, okay, McKenna, let's say, you know, you would never take hold of the Britain's going to leave me.
Oh, no.
You're like, McKenna, you're in your head.
No, that's
I
right.
saw how he was with you. He's not going to leave you. That's not Britain. Only knowing him the 2 times that you got to see him in person.
There was just a connection feel, or I just felt like I really, really understood him. Like he was like, I don't know. It was a quick.
So you always were like, okay, that's you thinking that. That's not Britain. That's not him. But when it came to the point that I was like, well, you know, what if there's someone else I'm supposed to meet? It's not Britain. And you just said, okay, McKenna, if you just think then, if you see someone, if you were after this whole mission, you know, and you're not with Britain, if you've made that choice, what do you feel, or what do you think or see when you see Britain with someone else?
If you ran into him somewhere and you see him.
I'm seeing with someone else, I know.
Or on social media, you see
he's going to be doing football, so we would have and that's what you said. And every time I was like, no. He's not supposed to be with someone else.
Right.
He's supposed to be with me.
Yes.
And that's literally, anyone waiting on a missionary, and I will do a whole episode for that, because that is the hardest thing to do. But yeah, you seriously were the one that carried me through that. It was like, because I would just totally get in my head.
Oh, I know. And I mean, we would have like a come into Jesus talk about like, it wasn't all the time, but it was like,
especially
we had it like
after the year,
a few times while he was on his mission, we had the coming to Jesus talk about it. Like, okay, you were just like, oh my gosh, I just don't know if this is right or not. See, it was never about right with Britain. It was just ultimately for you. You were here and you were doing everything that you do in the ward, the singles ward. You were having fun. You were just living your best life at that moment. But it's hard because you see everybody hooking up and different people are having their people they're dating, and then boys were flirting with you, and you were like, seriously, like, I don't want to do anything. And of course you weren't, because you really were connected to Britain, but you did such a good thing by writing him every day. Like, that was so important because you connected with him every day and he was always on your mind. But I knew you and I knew your heart. And I'm like, don't give up what you want most for what you're thinking you want at the moment, because this is just a temporary situation right now. And you didn't. And I mean, if anybody's listening to this and they think, oh, you know, he didn't know that you went through some of those questionable times during his mission about him, I would say, well, you're human, aren't you? Right? Because that's a normal thing for a girl to go through, but you stayed the course, and that's what makes you special.
Thanks, Mom.
Yes. So.
And it is, I love him, and that is something that, it is your claim to fame, but I am so grateful because you knew me in that moment, so you knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes. And you have a beautiful family now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's crazy. That's what's so funny. That was that was my life. For 2 years, yes. I was doing that.
Oh, it was like everything. I was in it with you.
You're like, we could not have made it this far for you to throw it out the window.
I feel like that victory was partially mine in some degree.
When he came down the escalator, like, I'm here too.
The goal. Yeah. We made it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My gosh. Well, Mom, you are officially my longest episode, and I think that's how it should be.
Not a shocker.
I love you. The last thing I've got to say is, no matter what we've gone through, I'm grateful for you. I'm so grateful you are my mother, and especially as I've become a mom. And everyone can attest to this. When you're in the same shoes as your own mother was, that's how you realize just more. You're like, wow.
Well, it's when life comes full circle, I mean, and I again, we all appreciate our mothers a lot more when we start to understand there's so much more depth to what goes on behind the scenes of everything. And you learn that as a mom because you realize this is not just black and white stuff that we're dealing with. This is a lot of like various layers when you're dealing with your emotions of children and different children. And then there's just so much that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And to hope that you can make it right without doing it totally wrong, then that's a win, you know? So.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
And to you, whoever you are listening, that you got to this point, go hug your mom.
Yes.
Go hug a mom.
Go
whichever.
laugh. Go laugh with your mom.
Yeah.
That's the best.
That's the best one. And have a great day. We love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.